Maeve hit the ground so hard the air punched out of her lungs. One moment she'd been carrying the basket of healing supplies Henry asked her to deliver, and the next she was flat on her back, herbs scattering across the dirt like crushed hope. Laughter erupted around her, sharp, loud, merciless. "Well, look who can't even walk straight," someone snickered overhead. Maeve blinked through the dust. 3 warrior trainees towered over her, their shadows long across the training yard. She knew them, everyone did. Kai's favorite troublemakers. Bullies wrapped in muscle. "Careful, Mouse," one said, nudging the fallen basket with his foot. "Wouldn't want you to bruise that fragile skin." More laughter. Maeve forced herself up onto her elbows, cheeks burning. I didn't mean to get in your way." "You didn't," another said. "We just felt like teaching you some balance." They shoved her hard. Maeve stumbled backward and hit the training post. Pain shot down her spine. A few more wolves gathered, drawn in by the commotion. And like always the whispers started. "She's so useless. How does someone like her survive in a pack like ours? She married that poor healer. Of course she's pathetic. A weak girl with a weak mate." Maeve swallowed the sting. She tried to reach for the basket again, but a boot came down on her hand, pinning it to the ground. She froze. "Going somewhere?" the trainee smirked. Maeve winced from the pain. "Please, move. Say, Alpha Kai is right, my mate is worthless. And maybe I'll let you go." The humiliation hit harder than the shove. Maeve's heart cracked, her voice stuck in her throat. She hated confrontation. Hated standing out. Hated being the pack's favorite target. But she wasn't going to insult Henry. Not even to stop the pain. She struggled to pull her hand free. "No." The trainee's smile vanished. He pressed harder. Maeve bit her lip to keep from crying out. "Say it," he growled. "No," she whispered. Before he could lean more weight into her hand, a sharp voice cut through the training yard like a blade. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" The crowd parted instantly. Maeve's breath hitched. "Henry." He looked furious. Not loud. Not wild. Not reckless. Just furious. A quiet, controlled kind of fury that made every wolf instinctively tense. Henry was usually calm, gentle. A soft-spoken healer with warm eyes and steady hands. But not right now. His eyes blazed, not with color but intensity. His jaw clenched as he strode toward them. The trainee snorted. "Relax, healer. We're just teaching your wife some manners." That was the wrong thing to say. Henry grabbed his wrist and yanked it off Maeve's hand with a force no one expected. The trainee stumbled back. "What is your problem?" he snapped. Henry didn't shout. Didn't posture. Didn't bare teeth. His voice was low even. "That's my wife. If you touch her again we'll have a problem." The other trainees stepped in, smirking. "Oh. The poor little healer thinks he's scary now. He has no wolf, remember? He can't even shift. Let's see what he can actually do." One lunged. Henry moved faster. In one smooth motion he sidestepped, twisted the wolf's arm behind his back and pressed him to the ground. No growl. No wasted energy. Just clean efficiency. Gasps erupted. Maeve's eyes widened. Henry never fought. Ever. He avoided violence the way others avoided disease. The pinned trainee struggled. "Let go." Henry released him instantly and stood tall. "Leave her alone." The yard fell silent, tension crackling through the air. And then Alpha Kai's voice boomed across the field. "What is going on here?" Maeve's stomach dropped. Kai strode forward, broad-shouldered, intimidating, his expression twisted with annoyance. The warriors straightened instantly. One pointed at Maeve. "She got in the way during our drill, Alpha." Another added, "Her mate attacked us." Kai's gaze shifted to Henry, slow, assessing, disgusted. "You." Kai scoffed. "You attacked my trainees?" Henry's eyes didn't drop. "I defended my wife." Kai laughed. Actually laughed. "You? A healer with no wolf? Defending someone? That's rich." Maeve stepped closer to Henry, trembling. "Alpha, they shoved me." Kai didn't let her finish. "Maeve." He said her name like it was a stain. "Do you know how embarrassing it is for this pack that you two live here? A powerless girl and a wolf who can't even shift." The crowd murmured. Kai continued, voice rising. "You should be grateful we let you stay. Instead your mate causes scenes. Attacks trained warriors? Maybe we need to rethink your place here. Maeve's chest tightened. Not again. Not another threat. She bowed her head. Please, Alpha, we didn't mean. That's the problem, Kai snapped. You never mean anything. You just exist. Uselessly. Henry stepped in front of her. Every wolf went still. His voice was calm, almost frighteningly so. Don't speak to her like that. Kai's eyes narrowed. Excuse me. Maeve tugged Henry's arm, whispering frantically, Henry, don't, please. He ignored her. She's done nothing wrong, Henry said. And if you're Alpha, you should know better than to let your warriors assault someone weaker just for sport. A stunned silence crashed over the yard. No one spoke to Kai that way. Kai's nostrils flared. You think you can tell me how to run my pack? Henry didn't blink. When your wolves behave like bullies. Yes. Maeve's heart nearly stopped. Kai stepped forward until they were chest to chest. You're overstepping. You're allowing cruelty, Henry replied softly. And I won't stand by while Maeve is humiliated for existing. Kai growled. You belong at the bottom of this pack, healer. Don't forget that. Henry's voice dropped, controlled and soft, but unshakably firm. I don't forget anything. Maeve had no idea what that meant. But Kai suddenly looked unsettled. Just for a second. Only a breath. But Maeve saw it. Then Kai shoved Henry's shoulder. Hard. A warning. Touch one of my wolves again and you'll answer for it. Henry didn't react to the shove. Didn't even sway. Come, Maeve, he said gently, taking her trembling hand. She followed him, heart pounding, face hot with embarrassment and fear. The crowd parted, silent now, not mocking, not laughing, just watching. When they were far enough, Maeve whispered, Henry, why did you do that? They're going to make your life worse. Our life worse. Henry squeezed her fingers. I'm not afraid of them. But you will be if Kai punishes you. Henry stopped walking. He turned to her, cupping her cheek with a hand that shook with emotion he didn't show earlier. I will never let anyone hurt you again. Not while I'm here. Her throat tightened. You can't protect me from them. They're stronger. A muscle in his jaw twitched. Strength isn't what they think it is. Maeve frowned. What does that mean? Henry gave her a small smile, gentle, sad, secretive. Nothing you need to worry about. But Maeve felt it. Something was changing. Henry wasn't as simple as he pretended to be. Maeve didn't sleep that night. Every time she shut her eyes, she saw Henry stepping in front of Alpha Kai, fearless, steady, but dangerously close to crossing a line no one survived crossing. She replayed the shove, the threat, the way the whole pack stared at them afterward like they were trouble magnets waiting to explode. Henry lay beside her on their small bed, breathing evenly. Completely unbothered. Maeve envied that. She watched the weak moonlight paint his face and whispered, Why did you do it, Henry? But he didn't stir. By dawn, Maeve's nerves were raw. The moment she stepped outside, the whispers hit her like cold rain. There she is, the troublemaker's wife. Heard Kai's planning a punishment. She better start packing. They're done. Both of them. Maeve forced herself to walk. She kept her shoulders tight, chin low, hoping to reach the healer's hut before someone stopped her. No such luck. At the corner of the pathway, Tessa, a tall warrior trainee with a cruel smirk, blocked her way. Well, if it isn't Maeve the Menace. Tessa crossed her arms. You caused quite a stir yesterday. Maeve swallowed. I didn't cause anything. Oh right. Your mate did. Tessa leaned in, voice dripping with mock pity. Such a shame he doesn't know his place. Maeve attempted to step around her, but Tessa moved again, deliberately blocking her path. You should tell him to apologize, Tessa said. Bow. Beg forgiveness. Something. Otherwise Alpha Kai won't just punish him. She paused. He'll punish you too. Maeve's stomach twisted. She whispered, Please. I don't want trouble. Too late, Tessa said. Trouble already wants you. Maeve made herself move, this time forcing her feet to keep walking until she reached the safety of the healer's hut. She shut the door behind her and leaned on it, breathing shakily. Henry wasn't there yet. She forced herself to focus on the shelves. Bandages, salves, herbs, tonics. She helped Henry organize them sometimes, though she wasn't good with medical work. Her hands shook too easily. Her mind wandered. She made mistakes. She was useless, the pack joked. And sometimes on her darkest days, she almost believed them. The door opened minutes later. Maeve jumped. Henry walked in, wiping his hands on a cloth. Morning. Maeve tried to smile, but it faltered. You're calm. I slept well, he said simply, putting away supplies. I didn't. He paused. She hesitated, then said quietly, Henry, Kai might punish you. Henry didn't look concerned. We'll handle it. No, Maeve said, voice breaking. You don't understand. Alpha Kai, he doesn't forget. He doesn't forgive. Yesterday you embarrassed him in front of the entire training yard. Henry's jaw tightened just slightly. He embarrassed himself. Henry. Maeve stepped closer, lowered her voice. Please don't talk like that. Someone might hear. He turned to her. His expression softened immediately. Maeve, look at me. She looked. You are not in danger, Henry murmured. I won't let anything happen to you. She shook her head. You can't protect me. You can barely protect yourself. You don't shift. You don't fight. You're a healer. You. He stepped closer, gently placing a finger on her lips. Maeve. Stop. Her words died in her throat. Henry's voice dropped to a whisper. Strength isn't always claws and teeth. You keep saying that, Maeve whispered back. But those are the only things this pack respects. Before Henry could answer, a loud knock slammed against the door. Maeve's heart plummeted. Henry opened the door. 2 pack guards stood outside. Henry and Maeve, the first guard said stiffly, Alpha Kai summons you. Now. Maeve felt her knees weaken. Henry steadied her. Barely a touch, just his hand brushing her arm, but it was enough to keep her from collapsing. He looked the guards in the eye. We'll come. The walk to the pack hall was suffocating. Wolf stared. Whispered. Smirked. Maeve walked close to Henry, wishing she could disappear. Inside the hall, Alpha Kai sat in the center, flanked by his commanders. His expression was unreadable. Henry, Kai said without preamble. Step forward. Henry did. Maeve's hands twisted together. Kai studied him. You attacked my warriors yesterday. I defended my wife, Henry said. Whispers rippled through the room. Kai leaned back. You overstepped. Your place in this pack is at the very bottom. You know that, right? Henry said nothing. He didn't bow. Didn't cower. Just stood there steady. Maeve wanted to scream at him to stop provoking the alpha. Kai's eyes flicked to Maeve. And you have been a drain on this pack for years. You bring nothing. You offer nothing. And now your mate has brought chaos directly to my training yard. Maeve flinched at every word. Henry's fists clenched. Kai tapped his fingers on the armrest. Listen carefully, both of you. There is only one reason you're not being cast out right now. Maeve held her breath. Kai smiled coldly. Your healing work, Henry. It is occasionally useful. Maeve exhaled shakily. A small mercy. But, Kai continued, if you ever interfere again, if you ever raise your hand against my warriors or question my authority, both of you will be removed from this pack permanently. His gaze hardened. And you will not survive on the outside. Maeve's fear finally broke through her exhaustion. Alpha Kai, we understand. Please, we will stay out of the way. See that you do, Kai said dismissively. Now leave. Maeve's relief barely started before Kai said, except you, Maeve. Maeve froze. Alpha. Henry can go, Kai said boredly. I want a word with you alone. Henry stiffened immediately. No, he said quietly. A pin dropped. You could hear it. Kai lifted a brow. Are you refusing an alpha command? Maeve grabbed Henry's arm desperately. It's fine. It's fine. Go. I'll be okay. Henry's eyes stayed locked on Kai. Something cold and unreadable passed through his expression. Something Maeve had never seen before. Finally, he leaned down and whispered in her ear, call my name if anything happens. She nodded shakily. He walked out without looking back. The door closed. Maeve swallowed. Kai stood from his seat and circled her like a predator inspecting prey. You've gotten bolder, he said. All because of that little healer. Tell me, does he make you feel safe? Maeve stayed silent. Kai chuckled. I want to remind you of something. You belong here because I allow it. Your life, your home, your marriage. It exists at my mercy. Maeve pressed her nails into her palms. Kai leaned in. If your mate steps out of line again, I won't punish him first. Maeve's breath hitched. Alpha, please don't. Kai straightened. Prove you're not a problem, Maeve. Keep him quiet. Keep him controlled. Or I will handle things myself. Maeve lowered her head. Yes, Alpha. Good girl, he said smugly. Now get out. Maeve left the hall shaking. The moment she stepped outside, Henry was already there. He grabbed her hands. What did he say? Maeve's voice cracked. Henry, please. Don't provoke him again. Henry's eyes darkened with something heavy, but he said nothing. And deep down Maeve felt it. This was only the beginning. Maeve didn't remember falling asleep. One moment she was staring at the dying fire with her arms wrapped around her knees, replaying the insults she'd endured in the Alpha Hall. The next she was blinking awake to the sound of something snapping outside the cabin. Twig. Heavy. Too heavy. Maeve froze. Henry's steady breathing came from the other side of the room, soft, calm, almost gentle. He was sleeping on the worn-out mat he always used, giving her the thin cot even though she had offered several times to switch. Maeve quietly sat up. Another snap. Pose. The cabin walls were thin, but what made her blood turn cold was the scent drifting in, foul, metallic and wrong. A rogue wolf. No, more than one. Maeve shot to her feet. Henry, she whispered sharply. He didn't move. Henry. He inhaled deeply, his lashes fluttering before he blinked up at her with sleepy confusion. But the moment he caught the scent, the exhaustion disappeared from his face. He sat up immediately. Stay behind me. Maeve's heart hammered. How many? Henry didn't answer. That alone terrified her. He moved toward the door with a slow, deliberate quietness. Steps measured, shoulders relaxed but ready. Maeve grabbed his arm. Henry, wait, what if it's... Something slammed into the door hard enough to rattle the hinges. Maeve jumped back with a gasp. Henry's hand pushed her behind him, firm but not rough. Don't run unless I tell you to. The door shook again, this time splintering. A low growl vibrated through the cabin. Rogues this close to the moonshadow border? Maeve whispered. Why? Henry's fingers curled slowly as if preparing for something. But he didn't shift. He never shifted. Not once since she'd known him. He always stayed in his human form even when patching up wounds meant for wolves. Most believed he couldn't shift. But the way he squared himself now, there was nothing wolfless about him. Maeve didn't have time to question it. The door burst open. A massive wolf barreled inside, its fur patchy and dark, its eyes crazed with hunger. Maeve screamed and stumbled backward, falling onto the cot. Henry stepped forward, placing himself between her and the creature. He didn't flinch. Didn't hesitate. The wolf lunged. Henry moved so fast Maeve barely saw it. He grabbed a wooden pole leaning near the door, used for hanging herbs during drying season, and swung it with brutal precision. It cracked across the rogue's skull, sending it crashing sideways into the wall. But another wolf burst in immediately after, teeth bared, saliva dripping. Maeve scrambled for something, anything, to use as a weapon. Her hands landed on the iron kettle near the fireplace. She snatched it, gripping the handle with shaking hands. Maeve, Henry said without looking back, voice deadly calm, stay behind the bed. Instead she ran forward and smashed the kettle over the rogue's snout as it lunged at Henry's unprotected side. The creature yelped and jerked away. Henry's head snapped toward her. Maeve. I'm not hiding, she cried, her voice trembling more than she liked. You're outnumbered. Another rogue slammed through the half-broken doorway, this one bigger, blood-matted fur, crazed eyes that glowed red. 3 rogue wolves. Too many even for a trained fighter. They circled. Maeve felt her pulse hammering painfully. She wasn't a warrior. She wasn't even a proper wolf anymore. Her shifts were weak. Her claws barely formed. She was just Maeve. The girl everyone mocked. The girl who married the pack, nobody. The wolf closest to Henry lunged again. Henry caught its jaw midair with both hands, muscles straining as he twisted sharply. Bones cracked. The rogue crumpled to the ground. Maeve stared. That wasn't the strength of a simple healer. But before she could process it, the largest rogue charged straight at her. Maeve's breath caught. Time slowed. She raised the dented kettle, but the wolf was too fast. Its teeth glinted inches from her throat. A blur slammed into it. Henry. He tackled the creature midair, the two of them crashing against the far wall. The rogue snarled and snapped its jaws dangerously close to Henry's face. He drove his elbow into its ribs, forcing it down. Maeve, get out. Henry yelled. I'm not leaving you. Maeve, go. She shook her head violently even as tears blurred her vision. No. I won't. Another wolf, half-conscious from Henry's earlier strike, staggered upright and lunged again, this time at Henry's back. Maeve didn't think. She grabbed a burning log from the fire with a cloth and swung it at the rogue's flank. It screeched as flames licked its fur, backing away. Henry twisted, using the distraction to slam the larger rogue's head into the wall once, twice, until it stopped moving. Silence fell. Maeve stood panting, clutching the charred wood. Henry was breathing hard, blood running down his arm from a bite. Then came the worst part. A howl echoed in the distance. Not a warning. A call. More were coming. Henry wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, scanning the tree line outside through the shattered doorframe. We need to move, he said. Now. Maeve grabbed her cloak and slung it around her shoulders. Where? Henry hesitated just a moment. Somewhere safe. Henry, Maeve said firmly, stepping in front of him. You can't keep doing that. Doing what? Protecting me like you don't care about what happens to you. His brows furrowed, eyes flicking away. You're my wife. Then let me be your wife, Maeve said, her voice cracking. Let me fight with you. There it was again, something old, heavy, buried in his eyes. A weight he always carried but never explained. Maeve. He touched her cheek gently with bloodied fingers. If something happened to you, A branch snapped. Maeve's heart stopped. They're surrounding us. Henry grabbed her hand. Then we run. They sprinted out the back door, leaping over roots, dodging trees. Maeve's breaths burned her lungs, but Henry pulled her with a strength that felt almost supernatural. Behind them came the howls. Too many, too close. Henry, she gasped, stumbling on a rock. Why are they after you? His grip tightened. They're not, he said quietly. They're after you. Maeve tripped to a stop. What? Why me? He turned, face tense, eyes scanning the darkening forest. I don't know, he said. But someone sent them. Maeve's chest constricted. Someone, from the pack? I think so. The betrayal hit her like a punch. Rogues didn't attack randomly, not this deep into territory. Someone had paid them off, or ordered them specifically. Another howl cut through the air. Henry pulled her close, resting his forehead briefly against hers, voice low and raw. I'll protect you, no matter what it costs me. Maeve swallowed, her fear mixing with a strange, painful warmth. Henry, you don't have to. But he did. She could see it in the way he looked at her. He would die before he let anything touch her. And Maeve, weak, useless Maeve, was suddenly terrified of what that meant. Terrified of truths she didn't know. Terrified of the shadows closing in. The forest went silent. Then a deeper, colder howl echoed, closer than any before. Henry stiffened. Maeve whispered, that wasn't a rogue. No, Henry said quietly. That was a trained wolf. They weren't dealing with chaos anymore. They were being hunted. The forest swallowed their footsteps as Maeve and Henry ran, branches smacking against Maeve's cheeks hard enough to sting. Her heart pounded not from the sprint but from the howl that still echoed inside her bones. Deep, commanding, controlled. That wasn't a rogue. That was a wolf who answered to a pack. Her pack. Henry scanned the trees as he ran, his jaw tight, the muscles in his arms rigid as if preparing for another attack. Henry, Maeve gasped, nearly tripping over an exposed root. We can't outrun trained wolves. They'll flank us. I know. Henry slowed just enough to keep her balanced, then angled them toward the rocky ridge on the east side of the forest. We're not trying to outrun them. Then what? We're trying to disappear. Disappear. In the Moonshadow Pack, wolves learned to track prey for miles. She and Henry were the easiest targets alive. One exhausted healer and one wolf who could barely shift. So Maeve trusted him. She didn't know why she trusted him so deeply, but she did. They reached the ridge and Henry finally stopped, pressing his palm to the rough stone. Maeve bent forward, catching her breath. Why are we hiding here? She asked. Henry lowered his voice. Because this ridge creates an echo pocket. Their hearing will be distorted. Their scent tracking too. Maeve blinked. How do you know that? He didn't answer. Instead, he guided her behind a slab of rock leaning at an angle, forming a narrow hollow just big enough for them both. He pulled her inside, keeping her close but angled away from the entrance. The space was small, so small Maeve could feel his breath against her forehead. His heat wrapped around her like a blanket, but his heart was racing. Henry wasn't calm. He looked calm, but he wasn't. Tension rolled off him like waves. Maeve whispered, "Henry, who do you think sent them after us?" His eyes flicked toward the forest beyond their hiding place. "I have several guesses, but let's focus on surviving the next 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That was how long until trained wolves would find them. A crunch of leaves echoed nearby, light, careful, and deliberate. A patrolman's step. Maeve's breath caught. Henry's arms slid around her waist, gentle but firm, pulling her deeper into his chest. His lips brushed her temple as he whispered, "Not a sound." The closeness was overwhelming, his heartbeat pounding against her back, the scent of pine and smoke on his skin, but Maeve forced herself to stay still. Shadows moved past the entrance of the hollow. A wolf's silhouette. Maeve squeezed her eyes shut. "Please don't smell us. Please don't hear us." The wolf paused, sniffed the air. Maeve's lungs locked. Henry's fingers tightened slightly around her waist, just enough for her to know he was ready to move her behind him if the worst happened. Seconds stretched painfully. Then finally, the wolf stepped further away. Henry exhaled slowly, barely making a sound. Maeve felt her legs trembling. "Henry, they're from the Moonshadow Pack." "Yes." "Why would our own people send wolves after us?" she whispered, though a part of her already feared the answer. Henry's brows lowered. "Because targeting a rogue attack on pack territory is risky. Ordering trained wolves is faster, controlled, and silent." His voice hardened, low and quiet. "It means someone doesn't want you alive, Maeve." Her stomach dropped. "Me?" Her voice cracked. "What could I possibly have done?" Henry's expression was unreadable, but his stare was heavy, like he knew more than he was telling. Before Maeve could question him further, another howl echoed. This one closer. And it wasn't alone. 3 more followed, harmonizing in hunting formation. "They're tightening the circle," Henry whispered. "We can't stay here," Maeve said, her pulse racing again. "They'll check every hiding spot." "They will," Henry agreed. "Then we run again." "No," Henry cupped her face, turning her gently toward him. "Running will get you killed." "Then what do we do?" Henry's eyes softened just a fraction. "We confuse them." "How?" He took her hand. "We shift." Maeve froze. Henry, I can't. You know I can't shift properly anymore." "I'm not asking for a full shift," he said quietly. "Just enough to mask your scent. Half shifts leave a different trail. They won't know whose it is." Maeve's throat tightened. "And what about your scent?" Henry hesitated. Maeve frowned. "Henry, can you shift?" He looked away. She felt her heart twist painfully. "Henry, if you're wolfless." His eyes snapped back to her, dark and suddenly sharp. "Maeve, don't ever say that." He swallowed. "I'm sorry. I just—" A branch broke directly above them. Henry stiffened, every muscle coiled. The wolves were climbing the ridge. "Maeve," Henry said, his voice suddenly calm in a way that terrified her. "Listen to me carefully." She nodded, throat tight. "You need to half shift. Right now." "Henry." "I'll guide you." Maeve's breathing shook. Her shifts had become humiliating disasters. Half-formed claws, ears that disappeared mid-shift, pain that locked up her limbs. But Henry leaned his forehead against hers, his hand steady on her cheek. "Maeve, you are not weak," he whispered. "You never were." Her eyes stung. "Focus on your heartbeat," he murmured. "Match it with mine." His heart thumped steadily, grounding her. "Now breathe with me." Her breath synced with his, slow and deep. "Now call your wolf." Maeve closed her eyes. Her wolf was small, soft, feared, shamed by the pack for years. But when she reached out to it now, something answered. A faint spark. A tremor of strength. A pulse of warmth in her veins. Her fingers burned. Not painfully, warmly. Alive. Claws slid out, shaky but real. Maeve gasped. Henry, I. A shadow fell across the entrance. A wolf sniffing. Henry pulled her behind him instantly, shielding her with his entire body. The wolf stepped closer. Henry whispered without turning, Maeve, hold the shift. Just a little longer. She swallowed hard, forcing her claws to stay. The scent around her changed. No longer purely human, no longer purely wolf. Something in between. The wolf sniffed the air again. Confused. It howled, signaling uncertainty. Maeve's heart soared with hope. Henry's hand reached back blindly, squeezing hers. But then, a new scent drifted through the entrance. A familiar one. Maeve froze. Henry, that's Alpha Rowan. Henry's body went rigid. A command howl split the air, deep, authoritative, final. Alpha Rowan's voice followed, cold and brutal. Search every inch. Kill the girl on sight. Maeve's blood turned to ice. She grabbed Henry's arm with shaking hands. Henry, why does the Alpha want me dead? His jaw tightened. And for the first time, Maeve saw something in Henry's eyes she had never seen before. Rage. Controlled. He pulled her close, whispering fiercely into her hair. I won't let them touch you. Maeve's breath hitched. But why? He leaned forward, lips brushing her ear. Because they should fear you, Maeve. And they know it. Her heart stopped. What are you talking about? Henry didn't get the chance to answer. Because at that exact moment, a wolf leaped straight into the hollow. Henry shoved Maeve down, taking the brunt of the attack. Maeve screamed. The battle began again. And this time, they weren't fighting rogues. They were fighting their own pack. Henry crashed into the wolf that had leapt into their hiding hollow, slamming it against the stone wall so hard the ridge trembled. Maeve scrambled back on her hands, heart thundering as the two bodies collided in a whirl of fur, fists, and snarling teeth. This wasn't like the rogue attack. This was worse. This wolf fought with discipline. Trained strikes, clean movements, every attack aimed to kill, not wound. Henry ducked under a snap of jaws, grabbed the wolf's neck and twisted, but the wolf rolled out of it, slashing Henry's arm with razor claws. Maeve cried out, Henry. He didn't answer. Because the wolf pounced again. Henry caught its muzzle mid-air, the strain in his arms shaking with effort. The wolf snarled, saliva dripping onto his wrist, claws scraping across Henry's ribs. Maeve didn't think. She lunged forward, grabbed a sharp stone from the ground and stabbed it into the wolf's flank. The wolf yelped and whipped its head toward her, teeth bared. Henry reacted instantly. He shoved the wolf back and punched it square in the jaw, once, twice, then gripped its throat and slammed its head into the stone until it collapsed. Breathing hard, Henry stepped back. Maeve stared at him, chest heaving. Henry. Another howl rang out. Alpha Rowan's voice thundered through the forest. Find them. Now. Maeve's stomach twisted in fear. Henry turned to her, blood dripping down his side. We have to move. Maeve grabbed his wrist. Henry, you're bleeding. It's nothing. It's not nothing. Maeve. His tone softened. I can heal. She blinked. But you're not a full healer. Not like the trained ones. Henry hesitated. I have certain abilities. Maeve's breath caught. Abilities? Henry, you're not making sense. None of this makes sense. He opened his mouth to respond, but a voice echoed from above them. I've got their scent. Wolf. Close. Henry's eyes sharpened. We don't have time for explanations. Come on. Maeve grabbed his hand and together they bolted out of the hollow, sprinting along the ridge as shouts and howls rose behind them. Branches whipped Maeve's face as she ran. Her lungs burned. Her legs ached. Henry kept pulling her forward, helping her over rocks, through thickets, never letting go. But Maeve couldn't silence the voice screaming in her head. Why does the Alpha want me dead? Why is Henry so much stronger than he pretends? And what is he hiding from me? They reached a clearing, an old abandoned watchtower made of stone. The door hung crooked, half-rotten, but it was shelter. Inside, Henry commanded. Maeve slipped in first. Henry followed, dragging a broken beam across the entrance just as 4 wolves burst into the clearing. Maeve backed away from the doorway, heart pounding. Henry stayed close to the entrance, listening. They're shifting, he murmured. They'll enter in human form. Maeve felt her legs tremble uncontrollably. Henry, they want to kill me. What did I do? Henry swallowed hard. And that was the moment she realized it. He knew. He knew something. Something big. Henry, Maeve whispered. Tell me the truth. He was silent. A heavy, unbearable silence. Maeve stepped closer, voice breaking. If I'm going to die tonight, I deserve to know why. Henry's jaw clenched. The footsteps outside the tower grew louder. Boots on stone. Henry exhaled, long and pained. Maeve, he said quietly, you're not dying tonight. Henry. Because I won't allow it. His eyes lifted to hers. And suddenly Maeve couldn't breathe. Henry's eyes weren't their normal warm brown. They were glowing. A deep, ancient gold. Maeve stumbled back. Henry, your eyes. The door shuddered. Someone outside tried to push it open. Henry, a voice shouted. Come out. Surrender the girl. Maeve froze. Henry. Why were they calling for him? She stared at him again. Why do they want you to hand me over? Henry, who are you? He closed his eyes briefly as if this moment pained him more than any wound. The truth, he murmured, was supposed to stay buried. For your sake. For mine. Maeve's breath caught. But they forced my hand. The beam across the entrance cracked. Dust rained down. Henry stepped between Maeve and the door, his posture straightening. Taller, broader, colder. Henry, she whispered. His aura changed. Not just confidence. Authority. The kind that radiated from alphas. But heavier. Older. Sharper. The kind only royalty possessed. Henry opened his eyes again. Glowing gold. Powerful. Undeniable. I am not a simple healer, Maeve. The door cracked further. The wolves outside snarled. Henry continued, voice steady, carrying a weight that made her knees weak. My real name is not Henry. Maeve's pulse thundered loud enough to drown the world. I am the last surviving heir of the Shadow Dominion, he said. The true Alpha King's bloodline. Maeve's heart nearly stopped. You, she whispered hoarsely. You're the Shadow King? Henry's eyes softened at her shock. I am the hidden prince they hunted as a child. The one they swore was dead. The one whose lineage was cursed, because our blood can command any wolf, even alphas. Maeve staggered backward, her hand flying to her mouth. Everything made sense. His strength. His speed. His instincts. His refusal to shift in public. His fear of being recognized. Henry stepped toward her slowly, voice quiet, pained. I hid my identity because anyone who stands beside me is marked for death. And when I found you, when I saw how they treated you, how they mocked you, I wanted to give you a peaceful life. One without danger. Without the burden of my bloodline. Maeve's eyes filled with tears. But I failed, he whispered. The beam cracked again. A blade slid through the doorway. Maeve flinched. Henry moved in front of her instantly, shielding her. They want you dead, Maeve, he said, his voice turning low and furious. Not because you're weak. Not because you married a poor man. He turned slightly, meeting her gaze. But because you married me. Maeve gasped. Henry continued, his voice shaking with contained rage. Alpha Rowan discovered who I am. And he knows that if you stay alive, if you remain my wife, you become the rightful Luna Queen of every pack I claim. Maeve's breath caught. But he also knows something else, Henry whispered, brushing his thumb across her cheek. What? She asked, voice trembling. That you carry something far more dangerous. What do I carry? He leaned close, lips near her ear. A prophecy. Maeve's blood turned to ice. The door burst open. Henry pushed her behind him, eyes blazing gold. And as the first wolf charged at them, Henry spoke with a calm, deadly certainty. You were never meant to be a powerless girl, Maeve. He stepped forward. You were meant to be a queen. The first wolf lunged through the broken doorway, jaws wide, eyes burning with bloodlust. Henry didn't flinch. He stepped forward, grabbed the wolf midair by the throat and slammed it down so hard the stone floor cracked. Another wolf burst in behind it. Maeve, stay back. Henry barked. But Maeve couldn't move, frozen by the words still echoing in her mind. A prophecy. A queen. She didn't have time to process anything. Because an arrow sliced through the doorframe, racing straight for Henry's chest. Henry. He turned just in time. The arrow grazed his shoulder instead of his heart, embedding itself in the wall behind them. Maeve stumbled forward. "You're hurt." Henry gritted his teeth, yanked the arrow out and snapped it in half. "I've had worse." "But, Maeve." His voice was sharp, commanding. "Focus." She pressed her trembling hands against her mouth. Focus? When everything she knew was unraveling. The wolves outside shifted into human form. Maeve recognized two of them from the Pax Guard unit. Warriors trained since birth. Loyal to Alpha Rowan. One stepped through the doorway smirking. Well, he drawled. The little useless girl and her useless husband. Maeve's stomach twisted. The warrior's eyes flicked to Henry's golden irises. So the rumors were true. You've been hiding royalty under our noses. Henry moved so fast Maeve didn't see him until he was already there, fingers closing around the warrior's throat. "If you touch her," Henry hissed, "I will tear out your spine." The warrior choked, face turning red. "Henry," Maeve whispered, horrified, "don't kill him." Another warrior crashed in from the side, tackling Henry onto the ground. The two rolled across the stone floor, fists flying. Maeve backed up against the wall, her breath trembling, eyes darting between the fight and the doorway where two more warriors were approaching. "Secure the girl," one barked. Maeve gasped and turned to run deeper into the tower, but one of them grabbed her arm. She screamed. Henry reacted instantly. He shoved the warrior off him, rolled to his feet and sprinted toward her with frightening speed. The warrior holding her spun Maeve around and pressed a knife to her throat. "Stop," he shouted. Henry froze mid-stride. Maeve's chest heaved. She felt the cold metal bite against her skin. The room went silent except for the ragged breathing of the men. Henry's golden eyes locked on Maeve, soft, terrified, furious. But he didn't move. "Put the knife down," he said, voice low, dangerous. "Not a chance," the warrior sneered. "Alpha Rowan wants her dead." Maeve trembled. Why? Why?" The warrior laughed. "Because you were born wrong, girl." Maeve blinked. "Born wrong." Henry's expression shattered. The warrior leaned close, smirking cruelly. "You're the silver blood, Luna. The one from the prophecy. Your birth was a mistake. One Alpha Rowan intends to correct." Maeve felt her knees buckle. Henry's nostrils flared. "You don't get to speak of her like that." "Oh," the warrior mocked. "Or what? You'll kill me?" "You can't. Because if you take one more step." He pressed the blade harder. Maeve whimpered. Henry's body tensed, fury trembling through him. The warrior laughed. "See? The mighty Shadow King is helpless." Maeve felt panic claw up her throat, but beneath it, something else stirred. A pulse. Warm. Strange. Growing. Her wolf. The little broken wolf she'd always thought was weak. It stirred again, stronger this time. "Maeve," it whispered. "Not weak. Not worthless. We rise." Maeve swallowed. Don't touch me." The warrior snorted. "Or what, Luna? You'll cry at me." The warmth in Maeve's chest spread to her lungs. Her arms. Her fingers. Henry's eyes widened just slightly. "Maeve," he whispered, "breathe." So she did. And when she inhaled, something inside her snapped free. Her veins glowed faintly silver. The warrior stiffened. What is that?" Maeve reached up, grabbing his wrist with a strength she didn't know she had. Her claws slid out, longer than before. Sharper. Silver-tipped. She dug them into his skin. He screamed, dropping the knife. Henry moved instantly, yanking Maeve away and punching the warrior so hard he flew into the wall. Maeve collapsed to her knees, shaking. Henry knelt beside her. Maeve, look at me." Her eyes lifted slowly. Silver streaks glowed faintly along her irises. Henry exhaled shakily. "The silver blood prophecy, it's waking in you." She shook her head. "I don't understand. Henry, what does that mean? Why does Rowan want me dead?" Henry grabbed her hands gently, turning them palm up. Her veins were still glowing. "Maeve," he said softly, "your blood carries a gift that can restore balance among the packs." Balance. It means when bonded to a true Alpha King, you amplify his power. Unite packs by force or by choice. Make war impossible. His eyes flicked to the doorway, then back to her. But in the wrong hands your power could also destroy every pack. Maeve's heart pounded. Rowan wants to kill me so I can't ever rise. Henry nodded. If you lived, and if you stayed by my side, you could restore the Shadow Dominion and end his reign. Maeve stared at him. Henry, I never asked for any of this. I know. He brushed her cheek, voice trembling. I wanted you far away from this fate. I married you to protect you, not drag you into a prophecy. Her throat tightened. But, if I'm meant to help you. Maeve. Henry cupped her face, forehead pressing gently to hers. You're not meant to help me. She blinked, confused. He smiled softly. You're meant to rule with me. Her breath hitched. Then, a slow clap echoed from the entrance. Maeve jerked around. Alpha Rowan stepped inside, flanked by half-shifted warriors. His smile was cold. Pooh. Well, Rowan drawled, this is touching. Pooey. But I'm afraid the moment for emotional confessions has passed. Henry stood immediately, placing himself in front of Maeve, golden eyes blazing. Rowan's gaze flicked to Henry's glow. So the lost prince finally shows his true colors. Henry snarled. If you harm her, Rowan, I swear. You swear what? Rowan scoffed. You have no pack. No kingdom. And no power here. Maeve rose to her feet, still shaking, still glowing faintly. Rowan's smile faded. He stared at the silver light traveling beneath her skin. Then his eyes widened. No, he breathed. Impossible. Maeve stepped forward, her claws glinting silver. You wanted me dead, she whispered. But you should have been afraid from the moment I was born. Rowan took an instinctive step back. Henry smirked coldly. You threatened the one woman who can end you. Maeve's voice dropped, quiet as a blade. And now, I'm done running. The silver glow in Maeve's veins pulsed stronger with every heartbeat, painting her pale skin with an otherworldly light. Her claws shimmered faintly, silver-tipped and deadly. She could feel power surging through her muscles in a way she had never experienced before. Henry's golden eyes locked on her, a mixture of awe and pride shining through the fury still simmering in him. Maeve, he whispered, voice low but firm, focus. Your power, our power, can end this tonight. Together. She nodded, trembling but determined. Together. Alpha Rowan's smirk faltered. He'd anticipated fear, hesitancy, weakness. But Maeve stood tall, her glowing eyes fixed on him, and suddenly the fear shifted. Rowan took a subtle step back, instinctively sensing the raw energy emanating from her. Henry moved beside her, protective and poised. His golden gaze locked onto Rowan, cold and lethal. This ends tonight, Rowan. You've hunted her, humiliated us both, and defied every rule of the pack. But you've underestimated me. And her. The first warrior lunged forward, knife glinting under the fading sunlight. Henry reacted instantly, catching the attacker mid-stride and throwing him across the tower's clearing with a brutal punch. Maeve's claws flashed in tandem, slashing through another assailant's arm, forcing him to stumble. The air was charged with tension and magic, the silver blood prophecy pulsing from Maeve in waves, disrupting the attacker's senses. She could feel their confusion, their fear, a perfect amplification of Henry's calm, controlled dominance. Maeve's own wolf stirred inside her, no longer weak or scared. It was fierce, proud, and entirely attuned to her. It whispered confidence, strength, and the clarity she needed to channel her power. Rowan's eyes narrowed. You dare fight me like this? I am the Alpha. I am the ruler of this pack. You ruled through fear, Maeve said sharply, claws raised. But that ends now. She stepped forward, feeling the prophecy surge fully within her. She could sense the loyalty of the pack, not Rowan's but those who would follow strength and justice. And in that moment she realized that even in her weak, powerless days, she had been underestimated, and that had been her advantage all along. Henry moved with her side by side, their bond a tangible force. It wasn't just strength, it was unity, an unbreakable partnership forged by danger, trust, and unspoken devotion. Rowan signaled with a growl, summoning more of his warriors. Kill them both. Show the girl her place. Maeve inhaled deeply, drawing on the prophecy's power. She could feel Henry's heartbeat sync with hers, steadying her. Then with a roar that shook the ground beneath their feet, she lunged forward. Silver energy flared from her claws, slicing through the first line of attackers. They fell back, staggered, fear overtaking their training. Henry followed, his strikes precise, his every movement a calculated display of raw skill and lethal efficiency. Together they were unstoppable. Rowan's fury burned brighter. He shifted fully into his wolf form, a massive, dark alpha, fangs bared, eyes glowing crimson. He charged. Maeve's wolf instincts surged and her claws extended fully, silver and gleaming. She met him head-on. Henry placed a hand on her shoulder. "Trust yourself. Trust us." Maeve did. The clash was deafening. Rowan's teeth met her claws with a metallic scrape that rang through the tower's clearing. Maeve spun, dodged and countered, her silver blood power amplifying her speed, strength and reflexes beyond her previous limits. Rowan staggered, surprised, unprepared for the force of a Luna fully awakened in tandem with a king. Henry leapt to her side, intercepting another strike from Rowan, forcing the alpha back. Maeve's silver glow flared brighter, and for the first time she realized something remarkable. Her prophecy wasn't just about raw power. It was about balance. Unity between her and Henry, human and wolf, queen and king. Together they could overthrow any tyrant. Rowan snarled, lunging again, but Maeve sidestepped, her claws raking his shoulder, drawing a deep, burning wound. The alpha howled in pain, stumbling back, surprised by the precision and ferocity of the attack. "You're finished, Rowan," Maeve said, her voice steady and commanding, filled with authority that had been dormant for years. "Your reign ends tonight. And your pack will no longer fear you, they will respect justice, loyalty and strength. Not cruelty." Rowan's crimson eyes flared, his growl shaking the clearing. "You think you can rule? You're a girl. A weak Luna. You have no right." Maeve's eyes blazed. Her silver energy coalesced into a shimmering wave rippling outward. Every attacker in the clearing faltered, staggering under its weight. Henry roared beside her, golden light flaring in perfect sync, amplifying the effect. The combined force of their bond, their power, and the prophecy struck through the pack like a tidal wave. Rowan's warriors fell to their knees, stunned, unable to advance. Maeve stepped closer to Rowan, every ounce of fear gone, replaced by clarity and purpose. "I am the Silver Luna," she said, her voice unwavering. "And he is the king. You cannot defy destiny." Henry moved beside her, his golden gaze locking on Rowan. "Leave now, Rowan. Submit or face what you brought upon yourself." Rowan staggered, panting, realizing that his intimidation tactics, his years of control, had failed against this united force. For the first time fear touched him. Maeve stepped forward fully, silver glow radiating like sunlight through dark clouds. "Your tyranny ends here." With a final, desperate howl, Rowan shifted fully back into human form, stumbling backward, defeated. The remaining warriors, confused and shaken, dropped to the ground in submission. The Silver Blood prophecy had awakened, and its power, combined with the Shadow King's might, had broken the old Alpha's rule. Maeve sank to her knees, breathing hard, shaking from exhaustion and exhilaration. Henry knelt beside her, wrapping her in his arms. "Maeve, you did it," he whispered. We did it," Maeve corrected, a small triumphant smile breaking through. "Together." Henry pressed his forehead to hers, warmth radiating. "Together always." Behind them, the surviving pack members watched in awe. Whispers began, words of respect, awe and recognition. Maeve realized that the mockery and humiliation she had endured were gone. Those who had once scorned her now bowed, not from fear but from understanding. Maeve looked at Henry, her partner, her protector, her king. "Henry, I finally understand. The prophecy, it wasn't just about power. It was about standing with you, ruling with you, trusting in what we can accomplish together." Henry's lips curved into a proud smile. "And we will. Together we'll lead the pack into a new era. One of justice, loyalty and honor. You've earned your place, Maeve. Not as a weak girl but as the Silver Luna, the queen who will stand beside me." Maeve swallowed, tears of relief and triumph streaming down her face. The girl who had been mocked, powerless and humiliated was gone. In her place stood a strong, radiant, unstoppable queen. And Henry, her husband, her king, her partner in every battle, was finally revealed in full strength beside her. The prophecy had been fulfilled. But more importantly, It had been their choice, their unity, and their love that had made it real. The wind carried the sound of distant howls, not threats but acknowledgments. A pack no longer divided. A bond stronger than any fear. Maeve raised her gaze to the horizon. "This is just the beginning," she whispered. Henry kissed her forehead, golden eyes softening into warmth. "Yes, my silver Luna. The world will remember this night. And we will face the future together." Maeve nodded, letting the weight of her triumph and newfound strength wash over her. Together they would rule. Together they would protect. Together they would love. And for the first time in her life, Maeve knew she was truly free. The night air was thick with the scent of smoke and blood, but also something new, renewal. The clearing around the abandoned watchtower, once scarred by violence, now hummed with a different energy. Maeve and Henry stood side by side, surveying the remnants of the battle, their hands brushing occasionally, sharing silent comfort amid the tension. Maeve's silver glow had faded slightly, but the warmth remained within her, pulsating in time with her heartbeat. Henry's golden light still lingered faintly, a constant reminder of the power he carried, power he had held hidden for so long. Maeve exhaled, letting herself relax for the first time in what felt like weeks. "It's over," she whispered, though she knew better than to fully believe it. Rowan was defeated tonight, but the politics of the Shadow Dominion were far from resolved. Henry rested a hand on her shoulder. "It's not over. But we've taken the first step. And we did it together." Maeve smiled faintly. "Together. I like that word." Henry's eyes softened as he studied her. "Maeve, you were incredible tonight. You didn't just fight, you led. The prophecy, it's not just a gift. It's proof of who you are. And what we are together." Maeve felt a shiver run down her spine, not from cold but from the weight of his words. "I never thought I could be strong. But with you I see it. I feel it." Henry leaned closer, his forehead resting against hers. "That's why we're a team. King and Luna. Shadow Dominion and Silver Luna. We're more than the sum of our parts." They stayed like that for a long moment, letting the quiet of the night settle around them. But the world outside was already stirring again. Survivors from Rowan's guard, those loyal to the old Alpha but unwilling to fight against their true king, began emerging from the forest. Some knelt, others bowed their heads in reluctant submission. Maeve's heart clenched. They had survived, but the kingdom's healing had only just begun. Henry straightened, stepping slightly in front of her. "They will follow us. They have no choice, and I will not allow dissent to grow. But we lead with fairness, Maeve. Justice, not fear. That's how we rebuild." Maeve nodded. "I understand. But Henry, the council, the other packs, they'll hear of what happened here. Rowan may be defeated, but there are still political alliances to navigate." Henry's jaw tightened. "I know. And we'll handle them. Together. But first we need to secure the Shadow Dominion. Show the pack that power and justice walk hand in hand." Maeve took a deep breath, letting her hands trail along the soft fur of her half-shifted form. A subtle reminder that her wolf instincts were alive, still connected to her human mind. She could feel her strength returning, not just physical but mental. "Where do we start?" Henry smiled faintly. "By reminding them who truly holds the power, and the responsibility." They moved through the clearing, the pack members stepping aside as Maeve's silver glow subtly illuminated the night. She noticed the fear in some eyes, admiration in others, and a strange mix of hope and disbelief in many. The girl they had mocked, the weak, powerless girl, was now a silver Luna radiating authority and command. Henry guided her to a large rock near the center of the clearing. "Stand here," he said. "This is where we declare our leadership." Maeve took the place he indicated, the weight of expectations settling on her shoulders. She glanced at Henry, who nodded encouragingly. Taking a deep breath, she raised her voice. "Members of the Shadow Dominion." Her tone carried through the clearing, strong and unwavering. "The reign of fear and cruelty is over. Alpha Rowan will no longer dictate our lives. From this day forward we lead with strength, fairness and loyalty, not intimidation." Murmurs spread through the pack. Maeve's claws retracted, but the glow in her eyes remained, a reminder of the power she could command. "And I, Maeve Silver Luna of the Shadow Dominion, stand beside Henry, the true heir of our lineage. Together we will restore the honor of our packs, unite the divided and protect the innocent. A silence followed, broken only by the soft rustling of leaves. Then one by one the pack members bowed their heads or knelt, acknowledging her and Henry's authority. Some did so reluctantly, but the weight of her presence left no room for dissent. Henry stepped forward, placing his hand over hers. "This is the beginning of a new era," he said. "One where the Shadow Dominion thrives not through fear, but through strength and unity. And where we protect those who cannot protect themselves, starting with each other." Maeve's heart swelled. For the first time she felt fully accepted, not for her past mistakes, her status, or even her weakness, but for the power and courage she had discovered within herself. After the ceremony, they retreated to the ruins of the watchtower, now serving as a temporary base. Henry inspected the wounded, tending to scratches and bruises with a healer's skill, though his golden aura revealed there was more to his ability than mere medicine. Maeve helped where she could, her silver blood energy subtly enhancing his healing, soothing pain and fatigue faster than normal methods could. "Henry," she whispered as they patched a minor wound together, "I feel alive. More alive than I've ever felt." He smiled, brushing a stray hair from her forehead. "That's because you've embraced your destiny, Maeve. You are not powerless. You are not weak. You are the Silver Luna, strong, brilliant, and fearless. And you belong right here beside me." Maeve felt tears sting her eyes. "I never imagined that. From being mocked and humiliated, to this moment. It's like I was meant for something greater all along." Henry wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. "You are Maeve. And now you know. And together we'll face everything. The politics, the challenges, the pack conflicts. But we'll do it side by side." Maeve rested her head against his chest, listening to his golden heartbeat. "Side by side," she echoed, feeling the warmth of safety, power, and love surrounding her. Outside, the first hints of dawn began to paint the horizon. The forest, once filled with fear and chaos, now hummed with tentative hope. Maeve looked out, silver eyes reflecting the rising sun, and felt a surge of determination. Rowan's defeat was only the beginning. The packs needed guidance, alliances required negotiation, and peace had to be built from the ashes of tyranny. But Maeve knew one thing: she wasn't alone. Henry squeezed her hand. "The world will try to test us. But we've already faced death, betrayal, and lies. Together nothing can break us." Maeve looked up at him, a smile breaking across her face. "Nothing." And for the first time since the night she had been mocked and humiliated, Maeve felt true power, not just in her claws or her silver blood gift, but in her courage, her heart, and the love she shared with the man who had been her protector, her anchor, and now her king. The Silver Luna and the Shadow King stood together, ready to lead, ready to rule, and ready to face the challenges of a world that had underestimated them both. The Shadow Dominion had a new dawn. And this time nothing would destroy it. The morning after the battle, the Shadow Dominion's clearing buzzed with cautious energy. Survivors of Alpha Rowan's old guard moved about, assessing damage, treating wounds, and murmuring in low voices about the events of the previous night. Maeve stood atop the raised stone platform, her silver glow subdued but still present, a reminder of the power that had shifted the balance. Henry arrived beside her, golden light faintly radiating as he moved with quiet authority. Even without the battlefield frenzy, his presence commanded attention, signaling to the pack that their king had returned, and with him a Luna capable of holding her own. Maeve turned to him. "Henry, the pack is still divided. Some of them are loyal to Rowan and they'll resist our authority." Henry nodded. "I know. But fear has been broken. Loyalty can be earned. That's our next step." She exhaled. "And the other packs?" Henry's golden eyes narrowed. "They will not all accept a new Shadow Dominion ruler without tests. Some may see this as an opportunity to challenge us, to claim power for themselves. Others will seek alliance. We must be careful whom we trust." Maeve felt the weight of his words. Politics had always been Henry's quiet battlefield, behind the scenes, while she had struggled to find her place. But now it was hers too. She had survived mockery, betrayal, and near death. She could face politics. She would. Henry gestured for the pack leaders present to assemble in the clearing. Some hesitated, but the display of authority from last night had left little room for defiance. Maeve followed him, standing proudly beside her king. Henry began. We have survived threats from within and from outside. But now we face a different challenge: the survival and unity of the Shadow Dominion. We cannot rebuild on fear. We must rebuild on trust, loyalty, and strength. We offer an invitation: join us willingly or be left behind. A murmur ran through the pack leaders. Maeve noticed some shifting uneasily, old Rowan loyalists who had been prepared to rule in the chaos. But now, faced with the unshakable power of the Silver Luna and the king, their defiance faltered. Maeve stepped forward, her silver eyes catching the sunlight. I know many of you doubted me. You mocked me, humiliated me, told me I was too weak to lead, too foolish to marry Henry. But last night proved that power isn't just about strength or lineage. It's about courage and about standing beside the right person when it matters most. She paused, letting her gaze sweep the clearing. I am not here to rule alone. I am here to stand with Henry, and with all of you who are willing to protect the pack and honor its legacy. Those who resist will find we do not seek unnecessary bloodshed, but we will defend ourselves and our people without hesitation. A low hum of acknowledgement ran through the assembly. Maeve's words resonated, carrying authority tempered with fairness. She realized something. She had never felt this powerful, not in combat, not in prophecy, but in her voice, in her conviction. Henry placed a hand lightly on her back. This is how we forge loyalty, he said quietly. Not through intimidation alone, but through respect and clarity. Maeve nodded, heart swelling. Then we start by meeting the neighboring pack leaders. They need to see that the Shadow Dominion has new leadership, a strong, united leadership. The day passed in a flurry of travel and negotiation. Maeve and Henry visited 3 neighboring packs, each with its own internal politics and agendas. Some leaders were skeptical, testing the couple with veiled insults and challenges. Others were wary, waiting for any sign of weakness. But Maeve found her voice again and again, her silver blood energy subtly asserting influence over those she addressed. It was not forceful, not violent. Just a quiet, undeniable presence that commanded respect. Henry handled the practicalities, addressing threats, and asserting the Shadow Dominion's renewed strength. Yet Maeve noticed how he deferred to her subtly, allowing her to speak first in delicate matters, acknowledging her authority as Luna. By the end of the day, Maeve felt a tired but profound sense of accomplishment. Pack alliances were tentative but intact. The rumor of her bravery and the revelation of her silver blood powers had spread faster than they had moved, planting seeds of loyalty, awe, and cautious trust. That evening, as they returned to the Shadow Dominion clearing, the air was still with quiet energy. The campfires glowed, casting soft light on the new order being established. Maeve and Henry walked together toward the watchtower, exhausted but satisfied. Henry brushed a strand of hair from her face. Maeve, you handled yourself beautifully today. I couldn't be prouder. Maeve smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest. I didn't do it alone. You guided me, protected me, and trusted me to act. I feel like I finally understand what it means to stand beside a king. Henry pulled her into a gentle embrace, golden light faintly shimmering around them. And you, Silver Luna, are more than a partner. You are my equal, my queen, and the heart of the Shadow Dominion. Maeve's heart leapt. She pressed her forehead to his, breathing in the calm strength radiating from him. I never imagined I could feel this complete. Henry's lips brushed hers in a soft, lingering kiss. It was not rushed, not desperate, just full of tenderness and the quiet assurance of love earned through trial and trust. When they pulled back, Maeve rested her head on his chest. We've done so much today, she whispered. And yet, there's still so much to rebuild. Henry nodded, hands resting lightly on her shoulders. One step at a time. Together. That's the only way forward. Maeve lifted her gaze, silver eyes catching the firelight. Together, she repeated, feeling the word resonate deep in her soul. As night fell, the Shadow Dominion camp began to settle into a fragile peace. Survivors moved cautiously, but the atmosphere had changed. From fear to respect, from uncertainty to cautious hope. Maeve knew the coming weeks would be full of challenges. Political intrigue, potential threats from packs who might see opportunity in chaos. But she also knew that she and Henry were ready. For the first time, Maeve felt a sense of purpose beyond survival. Beyond prophecy. Beyond fear. She was the Silver Luna. He was the Shadow King. Together they were unstoppable. And the packs of the Shadow Dominion would follow them, not because they were forced to, but because they had earned loyalty through courage, strength, and undeniable power. Maeve exhaled, leaning against Henry, feeling the weight of the day fall away. "Tomorrow," she murmured, "we continue building our kingdom." Henry kissed her temple. "And I can't wait to do it with you by my side, Luna." Maeve smiled, eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. "By your side. Always." The Shadow Dominion's dawn was just beginning. And the Silver Luna and Shadow King would ensure it rose strong. The sun rose slowly over the Shadow Dominion, casting golden light across the forest and clearing. The battles were over, the alliances formed, and the pack's fear had been replaced with cautious optimism. Maeve stood beside Henry atop the stone platform that had once served as a makeshift battlefield. Now it looked less like ruins and more like a throne room waiting for its rightful rulers. Henry's golden eyes scanned the gathering of pack leaders and survivors below. They had all come, some hesitant, others eager, but all bowed their heads in respect. Maeve felt her heart swell. This was the moment she had been fighting toward. Not just survival, not just prophecy, but a real beginning. "Maeve," Henry said softly, his hand brushing hers, "today we cement the Shadow Dominion's future. Are you ready?" Maeve's silver eyes gleamed. "I've never been more ready." The first council began with Henry addressing the leaders. "The Shadow Dominion has faced threats from within and without," he said. "Under my rule and with Maeve as Luna, we will ensure that the pack thrives. Our alliances are not based on fear but on trust, loyalty, and strength. Those who honor these values will prosper with us." Maeve stepped forward, her silver glow faint but powerful, lending authority to her voice. "I stand here not as someone forced into this role, but as a partner to Henry and as your Luna. I will guide, protect, and support this pack, and I will do so with fairness and courage. We are no longer divided, and we will not allow fear to rule us again." A wave of murmurs ran through the assembly. Maeve saw nods of approval, even from those who had once doubted her. The girl who had been mocked, scorned, and humiliated had grown into a leader who commanded respect, not through fear but through presence and conviction. Henry gave her hand a gentle squeeze, pride shining in his golden gaze. "Together," he said. Maeve smiled, squeezing back. "Together." With the council concluded, they began the work of rebuilding. Packs were reorganized, territories mapped, and resources shared. Maeve and Henry oversaw the process, ensuring that Rowan's remnants could either integrate peacefully or leave without causing further conflict. Amid the politics and strategy, Maeve found moments of personal peace. Henry often took her aside, walking hand in hand through the forests, speaking softly of dreams, hopes, and even their fears. For the first time she felt truly equal to him, not in strength alone but in purpose and heart. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of pink and gold, Maeve and Henry returned to their private quarters in the renovated watchtower. Henry's golden glow flickered softly as he leaned against the doorway, watching her with a quiet intensity. "You've grown into this role faster than I could have imagined," he said, voice low and tender. "Maeve, you are extraordinary." Maeve's cheeks warmed. "I couldn't have done it without you, Henry. You believed in me when no one else did. When I didn't even believe in myself." He stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "You don't need me to be extraordinary, Maeve. You already are. I simply helped you see it." Her heart pounded. "And now, after everything, are we really free to live as we choose?" Henry smiled softly, brushing a lock of hair from her face. "Yes. Free from fear, from mockery, from enemies who would use you. We have the power to shape our lives now. Together. And nothing can take that from us." Maeve felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, but they were tears of relief, triumph, and joy. "Together," she whispered. Henry leaned down, capturing her lips in a kiss that was gentle, patient, and full of unspoken promises. This was no battlefield, no urgent threat, just the warmth and closeness of two souls who had survived storms and emerged stronger. Maeve melted against him, feeling the calm strength that had been her anchor all along. When they finally pulled apart, Henry rested his forehead against hers. "Maeve, there's one more thing we should do." She raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" He grinned, golden eyes twinkling. "We claim the future we've fought for. Starting with a life that isn't just about duty but about us." Together. Maeve laughed softly, the sound filled with happiness. I like the sound of that. They spent the next days visiting the surviving packs, not just to consolidate power but to celebrate the new order. Maeve's silver glow became a symbol of hope, Henry's golden light a symbol of protection and justice. Where once they had been mocked and underestimated, now they were admired and respected. Maeve noticed how easily their presence united the scattered leaders, how their partnership brought not fear but confidence. And in the quiet moments away from council meetings and strategy sessions, they explored their own bond, learning, laughing, and simply enjoying being together without the weight of expectation pressing down. One afternoon, standing on a cliff overlooking the forest, Henry held Maeve close as the wind whipped around them. You know, he said, voice soft, I promised you a peaceful life, Maeve. I didn't know it would come with dragons to slay and packs to unite. Maeve chuckled, leaning her head against his chest. I didn't expect it either. But I wouldn't trade a moment of it. Not because of the battles but because I found you. Henry kissed the top of her head. And I found you, Silver Luna. Stronger than I ever imagined and more brilliant than anyone ever gave you credit for. Maeve lifted her gaze to meet his, silver eyes shining. And now we lead. Together. Together, Henry agreed, capturing her lips in a soft, lingering kiss. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the forest. The Shadow Dominion stood united, led by a king and a Luna who had survived mockery, threats, and prophecy to find their rightful place, not just as rulers but as partners, equals, and lovers. Maeve felt the warmth of Henry's hand in hers, the steady pulse of his heart against her own. For the first time in her life, she was free from fear, fully embraced in power, love, and destiny. The packs would thrive, the enemies would fall silent, and the Shadow Dominion would rise stronger than ever. And through it all, Maeve and Henry knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side. The Silver Luna and the Shadow King had claimed their dawn. And together they would shine forever. The end. Thanks so much for reading, and don't forget to like and subscribe to enjoy more compelling stories.